Well, it's been about 3 months maybe since I've really worked on cars. Yeah, it's been a while. So, in case you guys didn't know, which I don't even know if I explicitly said it, but for the past year and a half, since February of 22, I've been doing YouTube full time. It's been something that I've been trying to get to a point to be able to do for the past 7 years. I've been making videos for 11 years on YouTube, 12 years now actually. And when I graduated high school is when I really started to take it seriously. And that was back in 2016. And I started doing YouTube videos and began to do it with the intent to actually become a full-time YouTuber. That was the goal. I had my first Supra at the time, and I was working to a point to try to be able to use that as a jumping off platform to create a career. And it kind of worked. I had one video that did exceptionally well. It is now sitting at 10 million views. It's what 99.9% of people know me for, is that car. However, at that time, I didn't understand how YouTube necessarily worked. And so I sold the car like 2 videos later, which was a really stupid thing. I should have held on to the car and used that as a platform to continue growing. However, I let it go. So missed opportunity there. I then continued to work on cars after that. I got a Mustang, which was a cool car, but a poor choice for the time because it didn't fit my brand. I got my Nissan, which that project was a complete failure. And then eventually I worked myself back into getting another Supra, which is when things started to begin to look up. At that point, I finally started to get videos that were getting slightly more traction. Now you could look at the numbers and it's nothing impressive at all. However, the culmination of all the videos in the past were getting me to a point where I could do YouTube full time. So I decided to take a leap of faith and I jumped, and I had saved up money for a good while, had a good amount in my bank account, and I was ready to jump off and try doing it full time. So I did. Halfway through my Red Supras project is when I started. And since then, all the videos that I've made have been in a point where this has been my full-time job. I do have another YouTube channel on the side that I've been working on as well, but for the most part, this channel was my main channel where I spent the most hours, the most effort, the most time, and obviously the most money, because cars ain't cheap. But it may not come as a surprise due to this video, but it didn't work out. That's just the reality of it. You can't really sugarcoat it, but I mean, look at the numbers. It's really pretty telling that this wasn't going to work out. So it's a bummer. I mean, how do you justify, or how do you explain losing views after putting in more effort? Like, it's hard to justify to continue to do that as much as I want to, as much as the time and effort I've put into it. It's like I can't keep justifying it. I want to, but it's just hard to get to a point where I can continue to say that it's worth it. So yeah, it kind of hit it was about 3 or 4 months ago where I realized, okay, it might be on the final leg. It's time to give it one last huge push. So cars-wise, I decided to just begin something crazy with the 3000. I wasn't planning on wide bodying it. At this point, I was planning to wait a couple years, but I was like, I just have to do something to try to get the channel engaged, because at that point I was frustrated with everything. The Supra didn't turn out the way I wanted it to. The video I did with my brother's car, it didn't do well. I thought that one was gonna do well. And then with the 3000, it's just, I get to this point where I finally feel like things are about to take a turn, because I get the car and it's the greatest deal of all time, and I have these awesome plans, and then the car just dies. And it's still dead. That's the only car I've really worked on for the past few months. And it's literally just been trying to figure out what's wrong with it, and it still doesn't run. I've replaced the cam, crank, spark plugs, wires, ECU, PTU, and I'm literally at this point where I'm just probing wires, trying to chase down currents, but it still doesn't run. Sitting in the state that you saw it in that last video months ago. So yeah, it's just hard to find any motivation to continue working on it, because it's just, every time I do, it just reminds me of how big of a failure this channel's been. Yeah, but anyway, the past 3 months, I've really dove into another channel that I have that doesn't cost money to make videos on there, and just try to give it one last swing, which is why I haven't been doing this, because if I was gonna go out, I wanted to go out swinging as hard as I could. It was a big whiff. Oh man. But it's not the first time it's happened with dreams like that. This is, who knows how many dreams that have just not worked out. Growing up, I wanted to be a professional football player. Hours and hours of effort into it. I trained all summer, I read every book out there, I studied all sorts of film, and it mimics just like this YouTube career. As soon as you start to get momentum and you start to dive even harder in, the more effort you put in, the less results I get. Same with college. I ended up dropping out after 3 years. The more effort you put in, the worse I seem to do. So it's frustrating, to say the least, to watch anywhere from 7 to 11 years of work just be gone just like that. But as my dad would say, maybe it's time to actually look for a real job, but I think that's kind of the point where we're at. So anyway, what does that mean for this channel? I don't know. Channel is obviously not going to be deleted. The videos are still going to be there. I might delete all those shorts that I did. That was my last ditch effort to try to go into a different sphere to maybe grab some momentum, but didn't work. So I'll take those down for you guys. I know they're cluttering up the channel, but I tried something. At least right now, the way that I'm looking at it is I'm just gonna, for the most part, stick with 10-minute videos, like the building a car in 10 minutes. So what this looks like is there's not gonna be those weekly uploads of, hey, this is what we're doing this week. Everything will be a lot more sporadic, space in between. If I have a project film, I'll film it, but I think I'm ready to just slow it down, get the enjoyment of working on cars back again, and just kind of take it as it is. Long story short, I don't know what the videos are gonna look like. I can't make promises because I think the time as pursuing this as a career is, at least for now, come to an end. So anyway, that's really all we have right now. It's a bummer. Oh man, I was hoping never to make this video, but here we are. So yeah, that's it. Thanks for watching, guys. It was good while it lasted, but I think it's at the end.